And welcome one and all back to the Blue Rose Respite. You were lost and now you are found, and you are all most welcome here. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening as we celebrate hitting 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. It still boggles my mind that we've managed to come this far. But yes, we are here tonight celebrating 10,000 subscribers by doing something a little bit different, a little touch of the old and a little of the new, as we start to do these Q&A streams live on the air on my Twitch channel. So thank you all so much for joining me this evening, and thank you so much for sending in your questions if you aren't able to make it live, or you just wanted to maybe sneak in ahead of the crowd a bit. But yes. Let us get on with the show, shall we? The stream will be running for about 2 hours, in which I will try to answer as many questions as I can, as well as do our lovely giveaway, and shed a little light as to why I was on hiatus so long. So, for a rough schedule of this evening's events, just a moment. Adjust the volume a bit. Okay, so as you may see in the layout, there has been a little change. I have set a bit goal for 20,000 bits for some secret Twitch upgrades that I want to integrate in the new year. So, I know it's asking for a bit of a leap of faith, but anything that you can afford to donate in bit form would be hugely appreciated, as it'll all go towards upping some interesting new changes for my Twitch channel. Changes that I hope you'll enjoy. So, keep that in mind. And of course, it's completely voluntary. Anything would be hugely appreciated. Honestly, all money that I get from Patreon, from Twitch, from Ko-fi donations, they all go towards beautiful new commissions to make my channel a bit more polished and a bit more enjoyable to look at, as you are looking at right now. This was an amazing piece that I commissioned. I apologize, I can't quite remember her name, but I'll be sure to drop a link some point in my description below. Lovely. Stormgrad Games, welcome to the Blue Rose Respite. So glad you could join us this evening. We're just doing a brief rundown of what the itinerary for tonight's events is. Thank you so much for the follow. I hugely appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome here. Tobias the Swede, welcome to the Blue Rose Respite. So glad you could join us tonight. Thank you so much. So yes. Let us move on then, shall we? I have also added some shiny new upgrades, including some proper subscription badges for people who have bought subscriptions to my Twitch channel, and I have uploaded the emojis which are accessible for Twitch subscribers. I had forgotten that they needed to be reviewed by Twitch before being applied to my channel, so they should be available in a day or so. Yes. But first and foremost, we have my patrons to thank. Without these incredibly generous individuals, I would not be able to have the resources I need to bring this kind of content to you. So a huge thank you to the Cherubim of the Archive, Logan Fields and Fang, and to my Archangels of the Forest, David Bliss, Hayden Parke, Jason Kamil, MatthewK, Scion of the Emperor, and Valtharis, as well as all of my other incredibly generous patrons and Twitch subscribers and people who've donated via Ko-fi. Thank you all so much for your donations. Words always fail to describe how much I appreciate your faith in me, how much you enjoy my content, and the fact that you want to support me and you want to see how far I go with this and keep making the stuff that I love making. So thank you all so much. It's hugely appreciated. Stormcrat, it's totally fine. It's alright if you weren't following before. They're following now, and it's better late than never. And I'm glad that you enjoyed the background. It was a long work in progress. We had a lot of back and forth, making sure it was just right. And I think it's perfect for my Q&A streams, so I'm really glad that you enjoy it. And Soul of the Spirit, welcome to the Blue Rose Respite. And yeah, because I have been on hiatus from Twitch for a very long time. I wasn't promoting it as actively, but now that I've got a consistent schedule up and running again, I'm really looking forward to maturing my Twitch channel and hopefully eventually making it to partner. And Obsidian, I love your optimism. Thank you so much. 1 million subs, here we go. Words always fail to describe me. That was a flub. I tried to roll with it as best I can. But thank you so much. Sterling, welcome back to the Blue Rose Respite. So glad you could join us tonight. But I wanted to give out a little bit more love to my some of my incredible supporters who, when I first started out on Twitch, like over a year ago, they were huge benefactors, huge supporters, and over the course of my hiatus, it was difficult. It was difficult to keep things going, and without these individuals, I would not be able to have the renewed energy and resources to be able to breathe new life, not only into my YouTube channel, but return to Twitch as well. So I have given out some VIP roles to a number of individuals who have a special place in my heart for their incredible kindness and generosity. So VIP roles are going out to Gentleman Velociraptor, Sleepy FA, and Kimikun417. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity in the form of bit drops for my Twitch channel. Again, words fail to describe how much I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. And because I am trying to wrap my head around how to use Discord more efficiently, I also wanted to give a special VIP roles out to Shadowfang, Denvo, Valtharis, and Jauncey, who, through their consistent activity on my Discord, have helped keep things going, even when I haven't been as active as I would like to have been. So thank you all so much for continuing to be active on the Discord while I was on hiatus and continuing now into the future. Thank you so much. Like, I fully expected in my hiatus for my channel to eventually kind of wither out and fade a little, but thanks to you, you kept your posting and your conversations going, so thank you so much for helping to keep things active on the Discord. I hugely appreciate it. And also wanted to give a special VIP role to Comstein Druff, for his amazing, I think it's like 17 months now he's had his Twitch subscription, but I wanted to give a special shout out to him because I see him he was continuously subscribing to my Twitch channel even while I was on hiatus and I wasn't actually streaming. So I just wanted to give a special shout out to you as well. So thank you so much for your continued generosity. Oh gods, you have no idea how much I appreciated you guys. And well, we actually have a mod in the chat to help keep things somewhat organized. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Garrett. Always great to see you. And Tobias, the Discord is like a VIP lounge that is exclusive access to my Twitch subs and to my $5 plus patrons. I believe it's the whiskey tier is the $5 tier. So on my Discord, I host a monthly live narration session where once a month I do a live reading of a mixture of different things. It could be a creepypasta, it could be a piece of Warhammer lore, a piece of poetry or a fairy tale, essentially whatever I feel like. But it's a lot of fun. We always have a great laugh. We share pictures. We share each other's, if we're working on something and we want feedback on it, we try and share it to get feedback. It's essentially just like a cool little VIP lounge, slightly more exclusive access for the Blue Rose Respite. So if you'd like to join, then it's totally voluntary, but we do have a lot of fun there. Pepsi Max is always a good option, Garrett. You and I both know this. Alright, so the rough schedule for the evening is, after giving thanks to all of my incredible supporters, I'll be answering their questions first, and then about an hour or so into the stream we will start to run the giveaway. You'll be able to enter the giveaway for about half an hour or so. That's the window for getting your ticket. It will be limited to 1 ticket per person. You will need to be following my Twitch channel in order to enter, but Twitch subscribers will be given 5 bonus tickets. So be sure to stick around for that as we start to look at some of the lovely questions that you sent in. It's totally fine, Sterling. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Can't wait to see you again. Also, can you hear the music okay? I can adjust the volume a little bit if you want. If I'm too loud and it's too soft, or vice versa. Oh, Tobias, thank you so much! I'm so glad that you enjoyed my Castle of Blue Roses series. Oh, it was a huge passion project for me. I loved working on it. I learned a lot of lessons on how to write effective ASMR stories, ASMR tales as I like to call them. But thank you so much. Oh, Kimikun, thank you so much for dropping by. Wonderful to see you. It's totally fine if you're not able to stay because of work. I completely understand it kind of conflicts with a lot of people's schedules, but thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoy your shiny little VIP badge. Thank you so much. Garrett, supportive as always. Just wait for the nightmares to sink in. Mac and Cheese, welcome back to the Blue Rose Respite. Wonderful to see you again. And Hewan, how's it going? RTA2, everyone's rocking up. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. But as this is a Q&A session, we should probably move on to the Q&As. We're going to be focusing on the patron and subscriber questions first, and first 2 questions of the evening are from John Casey and Shadowfang. John Casey's question is, when writing your various roleplay ASMR series, are there any particular challenges from having the listener being part of the story? Are there any elements of the format that you enjoy over a conventional narrative? And will the world ever have a Stephanie Swan Quills Choose Your Own Adventure series? Follow-up, will the world ever be ready for said series? I think the world can barely handle me as it is. I think if I wrote a Choose Your Own Adventure series, it would be another massive labor of love, and I'm not sure if it would eventually end with dividing by 0 and everyone would be sucked into the blue rose void that is awesomeness. Lancelot, great to see you again. So glad you could join us. It's so great that so many people found me through my Castle of Blue Roses series, because that was a real shot in the dark. Like, I knew vampire ASMR was really quite popular on YouTube, but I wanted to do something different. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. John, back to your question. I know how this works. When writing ASMR series, it was very much kind of trial and error. It took me a while to complete the first script for the first chapter of the Castle of Blue Roses. I think one of the biggest challenges I find is describing a scene without it being just like a paragraph of text. Like, in my currently Patreon exclusive ASMR series, Lost in the Inferno, essentially the character called the Wanderer is being led through the layers of hell by Lilith, and she is describing the layers of hell and what the two of them are seeing, and as though she's kind of giving this sense of grandeur to it. Like, she's almost showing off in a way. So, in a way, that's how I get around it. When it comes to other things like the Castle of Blue Roses, I leave a lot of that up to the listener's imagination. Like, I can't really go into detail like, oh, the bed drapes are blue, and oh, the forest. You can say like, let us look over my kingdom. Hang on, need to do the accent. Let us look over my kingdom. And you can describe a little bit of like, see how the moonlight hits on the trees. Like, sorry, that was more Russian than the Countess's voice. Sorry. I think that is one thing that I struggle with, is trying to describe a scene, especially if it's a fantastical scene, without being like a paragraph of text. I also try to think of creative or cute nicknames for the listener character, because I want to keep all of my ASMR tales gender neutral, so that everyone can enjoy them. But I always describe the listener, if it's more of a romantic story, then I would describe them as my love or my beloved. If they're a character like in my Lost in the Inferno series, they're just described as wanderer or my thrall. I find ways to kind of get around it without being gender specific. That's only just like a minor bump. I try to make the stories as vivid and as interesting as possible, without being like it feeling like I'm reading an audiobook, if that makes sense. I hope that answers your question. Are there any elements of the format you enjoy over a conventional narrative? I really quite like the sense of intimacy that it brings. I'm quite a fan of roleplay heavy ASMR audios myself. Like the super in your head ones, where it is like the special audio, forgive me if I use the wrong term, binaural, that's it. Binaural microphone, where you can hear like as though someone is literally brushing their fingertips against your ear or something like that, doesn't really do a lot for me. But I like the ones where you feel like you're enraptured, like you're part of the story. And so when I was setting out with writing The Castle of Blue Roses, that was something that I wanted to keep in mind, like especially as my title is The Seraph of Stories. I wanted to keep that sense of narrative to it. I think it is very much like, it is a self-insert own adventure. Like, I am guiding the path of the story by writing it, essentially. But I want to tell a story and have you come along for it. So in that way, it is quite an intimate experience, in the fact that I ask you to trust me and to come on this journey with me. Like this, you may not necessarily like how it ends, but I hope that you enjoy the ride while it lasts. So yeah, I really hope that answers your question. The Stephanie Swan Quills Choose Your Own Adventure series, I have thought about putting my personas, part of her backstory, into some kind of narrative form. I don't know whether it would translate well to a full ASMR series, or whether it would work better as like a novella or a short story. So yes. Potentially down the line I'll write it into a short story, but probably not for a choose your own adventure / ASMR tale, if that makes sense. But thank you so much for your question, John. Always a pleasure to see you on the Discord, and thank you so much for your continued support. And next VIP question from Shadowfang. Since you've made it over 10k subs, have you received the Ruby Play Button reward, or do you need to have more than 10k? And are you planning on attending any expo and convention events here in the States in the future? Unfortunately, I have quite a ways to go before I get the Ruby Play Button. I believe it is tiered that the first physical reward that you get from YouTube is when you hit 100,000 subscribers, which, who knows, I might reach one day. But then above that is 1 million subscribers and you get the gold button, but then I think it's only PewDiePie and T-Series who have the Ruby Play Button. And I think that's like 50 million subscribers or something like that, or 100 million, I don't know. But it's like the next step above gold, as far as I know. I think there was original rumors for like a matte red play button for like hitting 10k. But I don't think that's a thing. Like, I haven't seen it anywhere. But one day we'll hit 100k, and then I don't know, do an unboxing or something like that. That seems to be tradition. Delicious glass of red wine this evening. And as for the second part of your question, I am definitely planning on attending a couple of conventions next year. I'm going to be trying my best to make it to 2 American conventions and hopefully MCM London, which is in October. Don't quote me on this. I'm planning on trying to make it to one convention in May and another convention in August/early September. Most of them will probably be focused around like general pop culture, not really anything specific. But as always, if you would like me to come to a convention as an invited guest, then email the convention as a guest request. Most conventions have that as an option when fans can request for certain people to be invited. So if you would like to see me at a convention, then please contact them and ask them, because the more interest from fans, the more the convention will see like, oh, this person has a fan base that wants to meet them, wants to get to know them. And so then they'll put me perhaps in like their roster of like, oh, these are the people that we can reach out to for inviting to this con. So I will definitely be trying to attend a couple of my own volition, flying over to the States out of my own pocket to be there and to catch up with my amazing narration buddies. But yeah, definitely if you want to see me attend conventions, contact the convention itself via the guest request form. And I cannot wait to be an invited guest in the future. That's honestly one of my absolute dreams, is to be an invited guest, to have my own panels and stuff like that, get to meet all of you amazing people and all that good stuff. So yes. Next year for sure, and an invited guest hopefully in the future. Thank you so much for your question, Shadow Fang. It's always a pleasure. Comstein, how's it going? Welcome back to the Blue Rose Respite. Great to see you. Thank you, Lancelot. Correction. At 10 million subscribers, you receive a diamond play button. I've forgotten about that one. Sorry. Delicious glass of red wine this evening. Yes. I sometimes drink whiskey while streaming, but as this is a stream where I want to relax and take my time, I decided to mull it over with a delicious glass of red. Let's see. Other questions that were submitted via the YouTube channel. Sorry, I just need to check something. Alright, so we'll be going through the questions that were submitted on the YouTube announcement video. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so first question from John the Crazed. So, when are you taking all our souls to the void to be traded / eaten? Also, are we going to see the butter voice?
Well, I don't know about that. Like, I have to be invited and I'm not able to make it most times.
I need to narrate another story in that voice. I love that voice so much. I did once during one of my live narration sessions on the VIP Discord. I did kind of play it off as though he was like an invited guest, and then I read a story in his voice. People seem to enjoy it. But I should read more stories in his voice. It's not the best impression, but I'm pretty proud of it. Maybe that'll be for like Tipsy Steph on stream. I'll do my Butters voice for one stream if I'd play like a more of a comedy-based game or something.
Well, I'm not some kind of trained monkey. You could just haul out whenever you need me.
Like, I need to work on the voice a bit. As for whisking away your delicious souls to be traded/eaten, of course not, my darlings. I treasure all of you, and you all have your place in my archive. All of you are such wonderful tales to add to my collection, so I wouldn't do anything like trading you away or eating you. You're all precious to me, and I like to keep you on neat, organized shelves. So yes, fear not for your souls, they are in very good hands. And thank you so much for your question, John. I mean, look at the background. Look at all those wonderful, wonderful tales in the background on those shelves. On to the next question, which is from Chris Van Flair. We have another wonderful question. Sorry, just a second. Okay. Who are some of your favorite villains from various forms of media? Ooh, this is a good one. Okay, so I love a lot of villains. They are oftentimes way more interesting than the heroes. There's so many that I love. It's difficult to name them all, but I'll maybe mention some of the ones that have like stuck in my mind the most. There is two in particular that I kind of drew on inspiration for when I ease into that narration voice when I'm narrating a story. The two that come to mind are the Angel Islington from Neverwhere. Specifically, there was an audio drama done of the novel Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. And the Angel Islington was voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch. And he had this soft and breathy way of speaking that also sent chills down your spine. Like, a way that spoke of like this effortless grace and majesty. And I listened to his particular parts numerous times. One, because he's got an amazing voice. And two, I just thought it was perfect for the character. So I tried to put a little bit of that into just my manner of speech when I do narrations. And the other voice that I kind of draw a little bit of inspiration from is Pitch the Nightmare King from the Rise of the Guardians / the Guardians of Childhood series. Rise of the Guardians was that DreamWorks movie that came out a number of years ago, which I fucking love that movie. But Pitch Black, the Nightmare King / the Boogeyman, his voice he was voiced by Jude Law, and in that movie he's again got that kind of effortless sense of power and charisma, but also just a little bit intimidating at the same time. It's just this warm voice, but also this underlying level of sinister to it, which was something I tried to keep in mind when easing into narration. Like, it's not something that I consciously do anymore. It's something that I just kind of flick on and off when I'm narrating a story. But those two are definitely the ones that come to mind. I agree, Garrett. There's that element of sadness just softly lingering in his voice as well. Love that movie. Other villains that I love me some charismatic villains. I love me some villains that you just love to hate so much. Like compelling villains, like well-written villains. Just trying to think of some good ones. Like, the Joker is a fantastic example, but again, he's very much like dependent on who's writing him. Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker is by far one of the best performances of all time. But other characters that come to mind is like Amy Dunn from Gone Girl. Now that is a compelling and captivating villain. Like, I love Gillian Flynn's work so much. Amy Dunn specifically is a fascinating character, and I can't say it for spoilers, but there was a TV adaptation of one of her other novels called Sharp Objects. And I'll just say the villain or one of the villains in that miniseries, the ending of that miniseries still haunts me to this day. So I would highly recommend checking it out if you like kind of modern Southern Gothic mystery stories. It's a crushing story, but it's so, so good. Oh no, Loki is definitely up there. Like, he's definitely one of them. I think just in recent movies, especially since Thor Ragnarok, he's kind of eased out of villain mode that he was in first Avengers movie, into more like reluctant tag along sometimes protagonist. Like, he's definitely had some growing pains, but I really liked the development that they did with him from Thor Ragnarok and moving forward. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do in the series that Disney is planning. I really hope they don't screw it up. I agree, Lancelot. Anti-hero. Thank you. That's the right word I was looking for. But he's kind of like dragged along for the ride a little bit. Like, I'm really curious to see what he got up to with the Tesseract. Like, what schemes did he hatch? Oh, gods. Of course, there's the whole bloody Disney lineup. Like, I love me some Hades, some Maleficent. Like, fucking Maleficent, hells yeah. Yes, Hans Landa from Inglourious Bastards, absolutely. Again, a terrifying but effortlessly charismatic villain, played amazingly by Christoph Waltz. Calvin Candy, again from Django Unchained. Just villains that you love to hate so damn much. Because what makes great entertainment. Like, it's fantastic if you've got a protagonist you can root for, but if you've got an antagonist that you can't take your eyes off of, it just makes it even more compelling. Like, hell to the yeah. I think, like, there's a whole lineup of villains that have kind of come around, like, since maybe late 2000, early 2010s, where it was kind of like the tall, lithe, kind of charismatic villain. Like, I'm super, super excited for when Has-Been Hotel comes out later this month, because I love the character designs and I love Alistair so damn much. He's such a great looking villain, or anti-hero. I don't know. It's weird to sense his motives. We've only seen the teasers, but I'm really excited for it. But yes, I am also currently watching My Hero Academia, so of course I've got to mention the League of Villains. Fuck yes, I'm still currently on season 3, but I'm catching up quickly. There's just so many damn cool villains. But if I have to name probably some of my top ones in anime, I would have to go with the Major from Hellsing Ultimate, and I'd have to go with Akio Otori from Revolutionary Girl Utena. Who else? Of course, but he's more like, he's not really an anti-hero, but he's kind of a little bit like that in his own mind, but definitely the Count of Monte Cristo from Gankuksuo. If you haven't watched that anime before, it's my favorite anime. I'd highly recommend it. It's kind of tied with Revolutionary Girl Utena in terms of favorite villains. But yes, there is way too many villains to count. But off the top of my head, let's just go with Angel Islington, Pitch Black the Nightmare King, Hans Landa, Hades, Maleficent, Amy Dunn, Loki, Akio Otori, and Count of Monte Cristo, and fuck, who else? Lots of them. There's so many cool villains, and I love all of them. My fascination kind of switches from one to the other, depending. So yeah. so many villains and not enough time. So I hope that answers your question, Chris. Yeah, there's just way too many to count. On to the next question this evening from MG7058. Any chance of a Warhammer ASMR roleplay in the future, either fantasy or 40k? There's been some ideas kicking around my brain. I'm not going to say what they are, but let's just say you can look forward to one on my channel. Like, I have a couple of ideas, and I'm just going to play it by ear and see how well they're received, and if people seem to like them, then I might do one or more, but they will pretty much be exclusively one-shots. I can't see myself writing a full series like my Lovecraftian or The Castle of Blue Roses. The Disappearance of Dr. Sharp or The Castle of Blue Roses. They're definitely in the future, but they will probably just be one-shots, if that's alright. Cool. Thank you so much for your question, MG. On to the next question from Andrew Fisher. What has been your favourite creepypasta and other horror story to read and or narrate? And is there any you want to narrate but are having trouble doing so? Ooh, good question. Good question. There are so many great creepypastas out there. Of course, there's the classics like Jeff the Killer, Russian Sleep Experiment, blah, blah, blah. I really quite like the Russian Sleep Experiment. I think that's a classic one for a good reason. It's written well, it's interesting, it has that little edge of it could have happened. And I think that's what makes a good horror story. Just that lingering thought of it might have happened. It may have happened at some point, or it might still be happening now. Who knows? Some other ones I really love. One that really unsettled me was As Her Air Ran Out by Caged Venom. That's one that I did read for my channel. It is available as a narration, and that's one that really got under my skin. That's a good one. A good horror story. What else? It isn't a specific, like, creepypasta narration. I think I labeled it as such, but it's technically more of a short story. I really like I Still Love You by Barnabas Damos, one of my amazing friends and an amazing writer, and that's a really good story, a good favorite of mine. The one that kind of made me like tear up a little bit as I was reading it was one that I did recently, The Animals on My Farm Always Kill Their Newborns by Christine O'Neill. When I was editing that one, that was really heavy to listen to on a second go. But yeah, I really hope that I gave a good performance in it. I hope that people enjoyed it. If a story affects me as I'm reading it, it's a good indicator that it'll probably affect the listener as well. Like, in the ways that I hope. Like, it's... With that particular story, I think there was one person who left a comment, and I said something along the lines of, I can't really say I hope you enjoyed it, because it's such a sad story, but I hope that you enjoyed my performance of it. So yeah, those are probably like some of my top ones. In terms of classics, Russian Sleep Experiment, and then some of the more contemporary ones. Were there any other ones that I can think of? Not really. Like, those ones are the kinds of ones that leap to mind the most. So, thank you so much for your question, Andrew. And next question. Need another sip.
Get me some sip.
Next question is from the Warhammer podcast. What was it like to narrate for 40k Theories for the first time, and what was the after effect? That's a really good question. I am so thankful to 40k Theories. I'd known a bit about Warhammer before collaborating with him. it was a game that my one of my stepbrothers was hugely into, and I'd seen like the setups when I'd gone to like Games Workshop stores and stuff like that. But it was such an expansive universe. It feels daunting to get into it for the first time. So it was always like, okay, that's that other game on the shelf while I go look at other stuff. But it started really with 40k Theories asking me to narrate some pieces of lore for his channel. And I think he just kind of stumbled across my channel one day and thought, hey, she's got a pretty good voice. I wonder if she'd be interested in collaborating. And from there, it was something that was constantly growing. Like, it went from him asking me to narrate short snippets of lore to casting me as Sister Celine in his Crisis of Faith series, which I had a hell of a lot of fun with. And from there, we've been collaborating for years now. I'm always willing to do lines for him for anything he wants to work on. I still routinely do snippets of lore for his channel, for adding to his videos. I had the immense honor of narrating, I believe it's the Horus Heresy story. Forgive me if I didn't quite get the name right. But that was the story that he released for hitting, I believe it was 100,000 subs. And that is a huge, huge honor and a huge level of trust on his part, because I voiced all of the parts and it's primarily male characters, and there's a lot of them. So there was a huge leap of faith on his part in entrusting me to give the characters the voices that they deserved, and I hope I did an okay job with it. Some people weren't wild about having a female narrator doing a story that was predominantly male characters, but I still really enjoyed narrating it. And yeah, I think that was a huge something that cements our friendship even further, and we're still great friends to this day. We're both in the crew for the Alpha Boost's text-to-speech crew, and from there I've only fallen more in love with the Warhammer community. I'm so thankful to this community for embracing me, because I am fully aware that I have a lot to learn, but you guys are so patient with me. And 40k Theories, he's very much my guide for when I want to make sure that I'm getting certain terminology correct, or even the thumbnails that I use for my videos. I want to make sure that it's attributing to the right kind of canon, whether it's 40k or fantasy, things like that. Honestly, did he not reach out and say like, hey, do you want to maybe work on something? I don't know if I'd be where I am today. So huge shout out to 40k Theories. He's amazingly talented, an amazing friend, and I'm so thankful for everything that he's done for me and continues to do for me, and then in turn I will continue to do for him to the best of my abilities. So thank you so much, 40k Theories, and thank you so much to the Warhammer podcast for your amazing question. Hey, Dragon King, how's it going? Welcome to the Blue Rose Respite. Next question is from Upset Groceries. What's your favorite color? I think I answered this on a previous Q&A, but I have a whole ton of colors that I love. The ones that I tend to gravitate towards the most are like a deep kind of burgundy, like pomegranate juice kind of pomegranate color, like the color of pomegranate seeds. I really like that color. It's kind of a magenta scarlet jewel kind of color. I like a soft blue, like a sky blue. If you couldn't tell by my background, I'm quite fond of the color blue. But I really like a soft kind of sky color blue with a nice kind of vividness to it. I like gold, I like silver, I like kind of a rich royal purple, almost like an amethyst kind of color. I like kind of shimmery pinks. I like peacock blue. I like a lot of colors, but blue is definitely up there. Like different shades of blue. I love, 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 love blue. But I also love a lot of colors. But blue is an especially fun favorite of mine. Thanks for your question. But I think I'll start alternating between questions in the chat and questions in the YouTube comments from the announcement video. So, for our first question from the live stream, what is your favorite type of music? I like a lot of music. I'm not so interested in genres of R&B or contemporary rap or contemporary electro. I love classic rock, I love metal, I love pop, I love country music. Not the biggest fan of modern country music, the more kind of dude bro kind of country music. I'm more into like Johnny Cash, Sell Your Soul to the Devil, running off with the preacher's daughter, finding her dead in the river 10 days later, kind of. I know that's grim, but you know, that kind of Southern Gothic music. Like Southern Gothic music, I would have to say, is probably up there. In terms of bands, my favorite band is Poets of the Fall. I believe they're Finnish. Finnish as in a band from Finland, not Finnish as in the band's broken apart. They're still touring and they're still amazing. And Marco Seresto's voice, I fell completely in love with the first time I heard it. So yes. Again, I think I may have answered this in a previous Q&A, but I love rock, pop, Southern Gothic kind of country music. I love kind of ethereal, kind of witch house music where it's kind of dark and a little bit of an electro influence, but it's kind of like there's an unearthly quality to it. Like there's something not quite right about it. But I also love a lot of music. I like kind of weird pagan chant music that's kind of relaxing to listen to and stuff like that. Indie music, a whole ton of different kinds of indie music. There's so many bands out there that do indie music. It's just whoever pops up on my radar. But yes, Poets of the Fall is my favorite band though. Next question. Can you name a D&D moment that is very memorable for you? Funny, sad, dramatic, or cool? Okay. There was a moment in my Curse of Strahd game. And I think it was one of the most penultimate moments in my character's development. She was she was originally like a soul that was trapped in a suit of armor, like Alphonse Elric from Full Metal Alchemist style, but it was like light armor, so she was a rogue, and she was like this noble who had her body and her soul stripped in two, and so she had to find her body and get that put back together. So then she managed to find her body, and her soul went back into it, but then there was something not quite right about it. It turned out that she had been, again, like, instead of coming back completely human like she was before, she had been granted the blessing of the Morning Lord. And so she was reincarnated as an Aasimar. And an Aasimar in Ravenloft is not a good thing. And especially if that Aasimar is fixated on marrying Strahd because she herself was a awful, awful person. She was not a nice noble when she was in her citadel. So her whole character development was she was very selfish, very self-serving. And then in the final confrontation, she was alone on the balcony with Irina, Strahd's reincarnated lover / object of his obsession. And she jumped off the balcony on her wedding day. It was essentially like the cycle of events happening again, except my character was on the balcony and she couldn't save her. And she just had to watch as she fell into the darkness. And this whole time, my character had thought, Strahd's lost to her. Like he will never be hers, because he may have convinced this girl to love him, and so she wouldn't want to take away from her happiness. But then when she jumped off the balcony and took her own life, and Strahd comes rushing over and flies off the balcony to save her, my character just starts laughing, and it's this horrifying, maddening laugh, because she genuinely thought like she'd lost and that Strahd had finally cemented the one that he wanted. But no, the cycle repeats itself, and she just stood there laughing as Strahd flew up with absolute fury in his eyes. And yeah, he may have bitten her, tore her neck open, but it was this super cool, dramatic thing of them standing on the balcony, and she had her glowing wings out to kind of protect herself, and he with his massive vampire wings out to kind of entrap her, and yeah. So that was a really, really kind of it was so dramatic, and it was raining too. So just imagine him holding her from behind, his fangs in her throat, as the rest of the party rushes onto the balcony, and it's in the rain. So that was probably one of the most... my little gothic romantic heart was so happy. It was so happy. Oh, we didn't win. We did not win that campaign at all. But I was so happy. I love that character so much. I love playing her so much. She's such an awful, broken person. But that's kind of great in the Ravenloft setting. Like, especially if you have a DM that'll allow you to play a slightly... Like, she didn't hurt the party or actively go against what they wanted. She was just very self-serving, and she was on the edge of starting to become a better person, but then after things worked out the way they worked out, she just broke completely. So yes, thank you so much for your question, Tobias. I really hope that answered it well. But it looks like it is that time. So, I will be starting my prize giveaway, which, to remind you, is a Steam key for Darkest Dungeons Ancestral Edition. You will need to be a follower to enter. You will need to have a Steam account to take the reward, take the prize if you win it. And and this is my first time doing a giveaway, so apologize if things go slightly awry, but we'll do it in just a moment. Just as a reminder, again, follower, need to have a Steam account, and if you are a Twitch subscriber, you will get bonus tickets as well. It is limited to 1 ticket per entrant, so best of luck to you guys. And we have half an hour to run the giveaway. There we go. So, if you want to enter, use the command !giveaway, all lowercase, to enter the raffle, and your name will pop up, and I will pick a winner in about half an hour or so. So, best of luck to you guys. In the meantime, we will continue with more questions, shall we? So, the next question on the roster this evening is from Imahore. Apologies if I mispronounced that. What is your favourite Lovecraft story, and will you do more Lovecraft readings on the channel? Absolutely, to more Lovecraft readings. I love the lore of cosmic horror. I love the lore that he's established. He established as a writer. That being said, to modern sensibilities, some of the writing is problematic, to say the least. And there's some content in some of his stories that I don't feel comfortable having to narrate or put on my channel. Sometimes he would write characters with a hugely stereotypical accent, and a part of me is like, I want to try and emulate what the accent properly sounds like, but then you also want to do credit to the author by being true to text. So there is one or two stories where I've read over and I'm like, okay, I might narrate this, but then I get to certain parts and I think, no, just no, like, and I feel bad because it's like a pretty great story, but I'm like, no, I don't feel comfortable. So I would love to narrate more Lovecraftian stories. I've narrated a couple on my channel at this point. I've done The Hound and Nyarlathotep. Apologies if I mispronounced that. I would love to narrate a full reading of Call of Cthulhu. It's a long story, though. It's a really long story. And it would be another massive labor of love to get it done. But I would definitely love to narrate that for my channel sometime. Who knows, I might do a collaboration and ask for people to help me out by playing some of the guest characters or some of the additional characters. I would love to narrate Call of Cthulhu. It's just when I have seen other people narrate it, it's like over an hour long. So it would be so hard to edit and make sure it was still consistent and entertaining and all that good stuff. But I definitely want to read it for my channel at some point. As for my favorite Lovecraftian story, I really love... honestly, it's one of the more underrated ones because it doesn't have to do anything with any of the old ones. I really like The Statement of Randolph Carter. I really, really like that story. It is a good standalone horror story. Its primary focus is it's stylized like it's the testament of a man in a police interrogation, and he's recounting the previous night's events and what happened. And so it's Randolph Carter stating to the police the series of events. But the ending, I remember when I read it in text form for the first time, it actually sent a chill down my spine how much I enjoyed it. Like, it was good. It was damn good. Yes, Dunwich Horror is potentially another one that I would love to read. Shadow Out of Time as well. I don't believe I've read Shadow Out of Time, but I will definitely check it out. And I can't think of any other ones that I want to read. Definitely Call of Cthulhu, Dunwich Horror, yes. Shadow over Innsmouth is another one I would like to read. Essentially, I would like to read some of the classic ones as well. I've read The Hound and I've read Nyarlathotep, but a lot of the other ones, they're quite a bit longer, so it will take a hell of a lot more time to edit and put together. But if I manage to keep working hard and I have a bit more time on my hands, I will definitely try my best to narrate it for my channel. So thank you so much for your question, Emma. Really appreciate it. All right, and that does it for the early questions. So you guys in the chat, do you have any questions that you would like to ask me? I do have something that I can talk about in the meantime if you want to think over questions, because I did want to clarify the reasons why I went on hiatus for so long. So while you guys think of some questions, I'll talk a little bit about that. So, I went on hiatus on Twitch for almost a year, and essentially what happened was I moved out of, not even my previous apartment, the apartment before that in London, and I had high hopes of the apartment that I was moving into, that it would have better consistent internet, that it would be smaller, more affordable, and I'd be able to essentially set up my base of operations a lot better for streaming wise. However, that did not go to plan. The apartment that I ended up in was on a very busy main street, which when I visited it at the time was relatively quiet, but I didn't realize during the night hours it got loud. It got very loud. It was very close to like the main hub of a lot of the nightclubs in kind of northeast London. it was in Shoreditch. I don't live there anymore. I had an apartment in Shoreditch, which is kind of where lots of clubs, bars and nightclubs are. Bars and nightclubs, same thing. Anyway. But as people who are guests of the VIP lounge can attest, it wasn't nice. Like, because I would still try to do my monthly Patreon rewards. So when I would do my live narrations, you could hear sirens in the background. You could hear cars honking. It wasn't good at all. And I've always been of the mantra of quality over quantity. So I knew I couldn't stream there anymore until I found a better place, a better situation. So I waited until I was able to leave, and then I kind of got things working behind the scenes. But in the meantime, because that was about a year, I did my utmost to continue making content for my YouTube channel. Because even though it was at a slightly slower rate, I still wanted to keep producing content and keep writing the ASMR tale, and just keep doing what I loved without going on a complete hiatus. Because I knew if I went on a complete hiatus, my channel would slowly wither out over time. So shortly after moving to my new apartment, I went out and I searched frantically for an affordable studio that I could hire by the hour to record my narrations in. This is why I am so thankful to my patrons, Twitch subs, anyone who's donated bits or coffee donations to me, because thanks to you, you kept me going through that hiatus, because I had to pay a good amount of money to studios to book them to keep producing content. And I didn't want to seem needy or ask for constant donations or anything like that. I made it work as the best I could with my temp job at the time and stuff like that. Like, it was a very rough year. It was a rough year last year, but I knew I wanted to keep producing content because I knew I could do this. I just had to wait until I could legally move out of my then current apartment and start recording from home again. So, about a couple of months ago, I was able to move out and move to this fantastic place, and which has much better Wi-Fi. And yeah, honestly, also my internet was hugely limited in my previous apartment, and it would have been jumpy and awful. I wouldn't have been able to stream properly. So that's the primary reason why I was on hiatus for so long, was because the apartment that I moved into wasn't what I had hoped it would be. And yeah, I had to move twice within a year to try and get to somewhere that I could kind of set up now. And as you could probably tell from the sound quality, it's a hell of a lot better. So I just want to reiterate, thank you all so much for your incredible donations, your incredible love and support, because I didn't want to make a huge fuss of it. I was frustrated and so angry at myself that I got myself into that situation, because I was just so worried about the lease expiring and getting kicked out without having a place to move into, that I made some hasty decisions that bit me on the ass later on. But thank you all so much for sticking around on this crazy ride. And that's why I'm putting so much effort into building these foundations so we can just keep moving into higher heights in the future. And just fucking thank you guys. I would not be here without you. I mean that sincerely. Just thank you. Thank you so goddamn much. So yeah, we've got less than 20 minutes on the giveaway. So if you want to enter, please grab a ticket with the command !! giveaway, and we will see who our winner will be in about 20 more minutes. And now, are there any other questions that you would like me to answer? Let's have a look. What would you do if you were put in a sci-fi environment like Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, or Stargate? Of all of those, I'm most familiar with the Star Wars universe. I would say I would... Okay, it would have depend on a couple of variables. Like, if I was in, say, the Star Wars universe, would I be Force sensitive? And so then, if so, I would put all my efforts into Jedi... balancing between Jedi training and being more grounded. I like the concept of grey Jedi, where they're not particularly bound to one philosophy or the other. So if I was in a sci-fi environment, Star Trek, again, it's an amazing expansive universe. Same could be said of Battlestar Galactica and Stargate. Unfortunately, I haven't watched Battlestar Galactica or Stargate. I've only got a little bit of knowledge of the Star Trek universe from the TV series and movies. So I'm a bit more familiar with Star Wars. Star Wars universe, I would probably consider heavily investing in finessing my training through meditation and practice, and being more of like a grey Jedi / kind of oracle figure, like more of a hero to the people than, a paladin for good or like a dark corrupted Sith for bad. Like, I would just do the best I can with the powers that I have and try to help as many people as I could. And just stop bad things from happening, but also know that there are no absolutes, and sometimes good people do bad things to stop worse things. So if I was in a sci-fi environment and if I was Force sensitive, then fuck yes, grey Jedi, and my outfit would be badass. I think most people have their own Star Wars self-insert character. But yeah, something along the lines of something similar to what Rey wears, with lots of like bandages and overlapping fabrics and stuff like that. Kind of a foresty Jedi, mostly sticking to forest planets. And yeah, probably something like that. Hope that answers your question, Dragon King. From Tobias. Tobias the Swede, have you created a larger world for Castle, or do you let the stories flesh the world out as they come to you? Honestly, it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. Like, they are kind of their self-contained little stories. Castle of Blue Roses, it did give indication of, like, a larger world at play. And I'm quite happy with the listener kind of expanding that in their own mind. Like, Velsvania is a country of my own creation. It's heavily inspired by Wallachia and other kind of pseudo-Romanian regions, pseudo-European regions. So I haven't really put anything pen to paper in terms of setting down the rules of a larger world. Like, I like to pin out just a couple of big events. Like, there was the fall of the witches when the Countess came and taking over that crucial position over the ley lines, and the Castle of Blue Roses going up. But I like to leave a lot to imagination. I like to leave a lot to your own ideas. Like, I don't know if I would write, say, a short story based on it and kind of like set out a map of the greater picture. But there is some loose kind of almost like thorns and blue roses kind of stringing all these stories together. So there is this kind of like interlockingness between this, my ASMR tales. And if you're very observant, then you might pick up on it. There is this kind of entwinedness that brings them all together, but I haven't really created a larger world at play, if that makes sense. Like, I haven't made, say, like a Ravenloft setting for Velsvania, for example. I would potentially like to. It's just that at the moment I kind of focus on my current projects, so the disappearance of Dr. Sharp, my Lost in the Inferno Patreon ASMR series, and moving forwards into the future. If I want to re-examine Velsvania as a setting and the Castle of Blue Roses as a series, I would potentially think about adding more bits of story to it, like picking up individual villages and stuff like that. But at the moment, I haven't really thought about creating a larger world, if that makes sense. Cool. Thank you so much for your question, Tobias. Great question, by the way. Dragon King. What would you do if you were put in a fantasy environment? Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, etc. I am much more fantasy oriented than sci-fi oriented. That's just where my particular fascinations lie. So that's a tricky one. Game of Thrones, I think it heavily depends on if it is full, like, self-insert, where you lie on that very, very weird ladder of politics in Game of Thrones. Like, are you a commoner? Are you a warrior, like a sellsword? Or are you one of the noble classes? Are you off with the Dothraki? Are you off in Westeros? I would like to think that I would probably be somewhere in Highgarden. Like, they know how to party. I would be maybe one of the lesser nobles in Highgarden. Like, maybe a distant cousin of Marjorie Tyrell. Like, I love Marjorie Tyrell. I love her so much. I may one day cosplay as her, but I haven't yet set down any particular plans to yet. But yes, in fantasy environment, I would probably be like maybe one of the lesser cousins of the House of Tyrell in Highgarden, mostly looking after the gardens and keeping to my books. Lord of the Rings, though, my little fanfiction brain is going haywire. I would be a former scholar / librarian of the great vast library of Mirkwood, and of course King Thranduil, and I would have a long, distant relationship, but oh no, he cannot because he is a king, and oh no, I am off to find my role in this world, and I shall read great stories to the dragon Smaug and keep him entertained and ease him off into slumber. Can you tell this is so melodramatic, and it's almost like a very, very, like, love this series teenager wrote this. Maybe something like that. I don't know. I would probably definitely be an elf, though. Maybe a Sylvan elf more than like a Lothlorien elf. I don't know. Though Sylvan elves tend to be more like warriors and champions. So I'd probably be a Lothlorien elf in Thranduil's Court of Mirkwood. Hope that answers your question, Dragon. You say you would read that fan fiction, but I assure you it'll be so self-serving. And we have about 10 minutes to go with the giveaway. Is there anyone else who wishes to join? Just throwing it out there. We only have a few more minutes towards before we draw it to a close. And yep. Counting down to the last bits. Please keep asking your questions. It's all good. Still have a little while before the end of the giveaway, and about half an hour or so before the end of the stream. So honestly, just keep asking questions. I love answering these for you guys. You guys are incredible, by the way. I'm really glad that you're enjoying this new layout for the Q&A streams. I'm having a lot of fun tonight. And I agree, my branch of the house would have a blue rose on it. Oh, thank you so much for all the questions, guys. I really appreciate it. Guys, help keep this stream interesting. What fantasy character would you date? Any fandom works. Oh. Oh, honey. Are you asking me to disclose my husbandos? Because I have many, many husbandos. Oh. Okay, fucking perfect with this music. fantasy character I would date. At the moment, the object of my obsession is I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Arcana. It's a kind of choose your own adventure slash dating sim sort of thing. It's an app that you can get at the App Store, but it's got a great story and awesome characters. Current thirst is for Julian Deverak, who is one of the characters that is a dating option. And be still my heart, that boy is so thirsty. Tall, doctor, eye patch, short auburn hair, great jawline, great pecs. He's currently my current object of obsession. At the moment, Aizawa from My Hero Academia. He looks like we could just sleep. We could just sleep and just crash together, and I'd be more than happy with that. More husbandos. The Count of Monte Cristo from Gankuksuo. Again, villain that I love. Husbando that I also love. I have not been drinking, shut up. Count of Monte Cristo. Shoot, who else? Who else would I date? I would say characters like Sebastian Michaelis, but he's not really the dating kind. Like, he's got his own priorities. He's worrying about Ciel. Sebastian Michaelis is from Black Butler, my apologies. Great anime series. Still catching up with the manga, though. Who else? Oh, I would date, the Specimen from Shape of Water, because he's played by Jug Jones, and he is a graceful and gorgeous water god. Yes, and yes. Love me, my monster boyfriends. Other fantasy characters, I don't know. There's so many to choose from. I can't pick favorites, but that's kind of like a nice, like, brief short list. It's not really a fantasy setting, but I would also date from Twin Peaks, Dale Cooper, who's played by Carl McLaughlin, and yeah, he and I can solve crimes and drink coffee together, and that would be great. I'm more than happy with that. And we've got 5 minutes left for the giveaway, guys. Last chance to enter. Hope that answers your question and it wasn't too embarrassing on my part. Favorite D&D race and favorite mythological creature that are not vampires. Well, that's no fun. Favorite D&D race. It is a tie probably between Eladrin, Tieflings, and Aasimar. I love having that extra little spice that gives you that extra ethereal quality. And also opens up a whole new avenue for roleplay and finding your place in the world. I think probably Tieflings have a special place in my heart, because you can just have so much fun with Tieflings. Like, yeah, you can make angsty characters, but you can also, like, just do anything with them. Like, they're so versatile as a race in terms of, like, physical description. Comstein, thank you so much for the resub. Thank you. Holy shit, you guys are incredible. But seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh, gods. But yeah, Tieflings have a special place in my heart. I love them so much. I love the skill set. I love how they were expanded upon with different options depending on their ancestry. I love Aasimar and all the potential you can do with them, but I find they're a little bit more limited than Tieflings. I also love just the aesthetics of the Eladrin, like the ultra fey elven race. I haven't played one yet, but I would love to. So, hope that answers your question. Favorite video game or video game series? Ooh, there's so many. There's so many. In terms of number of hours that I've clocked into it, it's probably up like between Dragon Age Inquisition and Skyrim. I think I've put more hours into Skyrim, but it's a more like the open world that you can endlessly explore. I really freaking loved the story of Dragon Age Inquisition. I loved having my heart broken by Soulless again and again. I love that game so much. I'm curiously anticipating what they're going to do for the next one, because I need to track down my wolf boyfriend. Also, Soulless, another husbando. Because we can be brooding and talk about books and wolves and nature and the elven ancestry until the cows come home. So yes, probably Dragon Age Inquisition is up there with my favorite games. I haven't played a lot of games, just because I don't have a whole ton of time for them. And if I am going to play video games, I want to share it with you guys. So, so I haven't played The Witcher yet. I would love to, potentially stream it one day, because again, I haven't played it before. So all my reactions would be genuine. So yes, I would love to play that one day. I think that would easily become one of my favorite games as well. But I think probably favorite video game is, no, actually, it's probably a 4-way tie. If we're talking about numbers of hours clocked, Dragon Age Inquisition. In terms of stories that have just been way too real and have like cut too close to the bone, but you love it for it, Rule of Rose. I can't begin to describe how important Rule of Rose is to me. And I have such love for that game, for the ambition of the developers, and just the story in general, and how unapologetic it is in its depictions of abuse. I know it's quite a heavy subject, but Rule of Rose has a very special place in my heart as well, as does Silent Hill 2. So probably in number of hours clocked, Dragon Age Inquisition. In terms of probably like cutting close to the bone and having like that deep, powerful impact on me as a individual, Rule of Rose and Silent Hill 2. I hope that answers your question, Mac and Cheese. Thank you so much. Less than a minute left to get into this giveaway. Oh, thank you so much for the entrance so far. I cannot wait to see how this goes. I got from Tobias. I got into the Dark Crystal show lately and loving it. If you're familiar, do you have a favorite aspect or character in it? Skeksis for me, of course. I love the Dark Crystal series so much. I was watching it with my sister when she was in town, and the two of us fell completely in love with it. I haven't seen the Dark Crystal movie in a very long time, but holy shit, I need to watch it again. That series is everything I'd hoped it would be and more. And I am so thankful to Netflix, and I'm so thankful to Netflix and the Jim Henson Group for giving them the budget that they needed to make something that amazing. But favorite aspect or character in it? I love just how awful the Skeksis are in terms of like despicableness. Again, villains that you love to hate, and their design and the level of detail that goes into them. I love the series so much for how they expanded the worldview, but also making sure that everything was explained, but not like explaining something as like in breaking it down to the most basic terms, like you're telling it to a child. They trust your intelligence to put the pieces together, and they just help to make the world more cohesive. My favorite character is Deet. No spoilers for how the series ends, but I am really hoping that they do season 2, because I love Deet, and I will fight for her. I will protect her, and I want her to be happy. Olgra is the sassy-ass grandmother / great aunt that we all want in our lives. I love her so goddamn much. The puppeteering work on her is just fucking incredible. I love her so goddamn much. I love that series so goddamn much. And yes. yes. Favorite character would probably be Deet. I love all of them so much. I love Skeksis so much. I love the world building so much. It just, when I was watching it, it was like feeding that fantasy love in me so much. I was so happy. If I love a series a lot, I'll give it some time before I rewatch it so that it feels like refreshed and I forget about some of the small details, but then I can pick up on new things as well. So, yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Love that series. I think it's time for us to pick a winner. Yes, yes, yes. So, the winner of tonight's giveaway is Comstein. Congratulations! You are the winner of the Darkest Dungeons Ancestral Edition giveaway. Thank you so much for entering and for your amazing continued support. Holy shit, this is my first giveaway and it didn't screw up. Awesome. I will chat you the Steam keys at the end of the stream. For now, let us continue with the questions. Be sure to stick around and check your messages in about half an hour or so, and you will receive the Steam keys. Thank you so much for entering. I'm going to really be trying to do more of these giveaways in the future when I do these Q&A sessions, because I think they're fun, and they help me to give back to the community that's always been so supportive of me, so thank you so much. From Hewan, are you considering doing audiobooks or dramas? I consider my channel to be kind of like a hub. Like, I call it the archive for a reason. Like, being able to fill it with these, like, self-made audiobooks of, like, short stories and, like, little things that I love. Doing full audiobooks or audio dramas, if I was hired by a professional studio to do it, I would absolutely do it. But however, doing it in my own time, I feel that I don't have the time to do it efficiently, and it's also a huge investment. One of my dreams would be to do something like a full audiobook for like a Warhammer novel, or to do a role in a audio drama or something like that, because I loved the audio dramas that they did of some of Neil Gaiman's novels, especially Neverwhere, and it would be a huge honor to play a role in an audio drama like that. I already do collaborations with other channels that are kind of similar. I've done a couple of roles for Mr. Creepypasta, but I would love to do other, like, bigger projects, but I wouldn't have the time to edit all of it, because editing takes almost twice or even 3 times as long as it does to record it. So if I was hypothetically recording an audio drama, but the studio was handling the editing side of things, absolutely. If we're talking an audiobook that's maybe longer than, say, 2 hours, I wouldn't be able to do. Call of Cthulhu is I think, clocks at about an hour and 15, an hour and a half, which is why I would love to do it for my channel, but it would take a really long time to edit. But yeah, I would love to do it, absolutely, in the future. Thank you so much for your question. Okay, Dragon King, I just have to kudos you on your taste. Marjorie Tyrell is a top tier waifu. Natalie Dormer, I adore her so much. I actually had the privilege of being able to see her live on stage performing Venus in Fur, one of my favorite plays, and she's so gorgeous. She is so gorgeous. I was about 4 or 5 rows from the front, and being able to see her that up close, oh, be still my heart, just... Oh, I love her so much. She's so talented and so gorgeous, and just apologies for fangirling a little bit, but I love that actress so goddamn much. I'm sorry, Garrett. Better luck next time with the giveaway. I'm not sure if mods can enter a giveaway. Apologies, but maybe better luck in the future. You plodding pile. I agree, Augur is the absolute best. And yes, Comstein, you have been an amazing supporter for so long. You deserve it. You seriously deserve it. Thank you. And, ooh, question from Garrod, one of our lovely mods. Currently you have your Warhammer 40k and your own world stories that you read. Which settings, world, genres are you looking forward to doing sometime in the future? Ooh, good question. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't want to venture too far out of what I've currently established, which is I focus primarily on, excuse me, on horror, fairy tales, classical pieces, and Warhammer. I think I already spread myself quite thin when it comes to doing different things. Like, I do a number of different kind of readings on my channel. I don't focus on one particular thing, which is a bit tricky. But it's all things that I really love. I can't really think of any other genres that I want to expand on at the moment. If I'm going to be expanding into unknown territory, as it were, then I'm probably going to maybe focus on just different games that I'm going to stream. Excuse me. All of them primarily still being horror themed somewhat, or supernatural themed, but still all tying it together. Like, I still want everything to feel cohesive to what I've established, which is the Seraph of Stories. So I want to keep it very much narrative driven, whatever content that I create. Very narrative driven, engaging, interesting, a little bit on the sinister side, just for funsies. I wouldn't mind stepping more into the Warhammer community and trying to do some more stories. Like, at the moment I haven't really thought too much into unknown territory that I want to expand on. I'd rather, for now, grow my strengths and hone my skills where I feel comfortable. But it's a huge horror, and Warhammer is a huge genre already, so I'm interested in exploring the nooks and crannies of those particular genres before venturing into unknown waters, as it were. Thank you so much for your question. And, ooh, another question. Also, if you could voice in any style of game, which would you choose to be a part of? Any style of game. I would love to be in, I think as most voice actors would, I would love to be in a top tier, full motion capture, heavy drama with a bit of fantasy series. Something, if I had the honor of being in something like The Last of Us, I would call that an all-time career high. I would love to be, I'd love to voice an Overwatch character, or like something in World of Warcraft. No, I would love to play a voiced character in a Warhammer game. I would love to play a voiced character in like one of the Dragon Age games. Like one of the main characters, like a supporting NPC or something like that. I think, yeah, just an A-star game for a really, really good company. So probably Dragon Age Inquisition. I would love to play like one of the supporting characters in that. That would be amazing. I know I've got a very good voice when it comes to like paladins and villains and just generally like women with slightly deeper voices. So I think my skill set is very well suited for the fantasy genre. So yeah. I would love to do that. Primarily just like a really good game, a really good fantasy game that has a really good fan base. So yeah, probably Dragon Age. I would love to voice a character in Dragon Age. Last of Us 3 confirmed. Not yet, unfortunately. Not yet. Yeah. Can't think of anything else. I would love to be in an anime dub, but dubbing anime is apparently like voice acting boot camp, it is very difficult because you have to match the lip flaps. I'd love a challenge, especially when it comes to voice acting. I would love to play a character who's similar to another character like that I've voiced before. She was for a Amnesia The Dark Descent mod, and I'm not going to go into details, but some horrible things happened to her, and I like being able to tap into that inner like wall of like that inner anger and pain, and being able to just like let it out in the booth. I also loved that when I got to play Zarmina Green Eyes in Redwall Escaped Gloomer. That was an amazing character that I got to play, and that is just full unbridled anger. I like playing characters where you get to go completely into it. Like, a lot of my narrations, I tend to sit quite static in my seat and narrate quite softly and with a slightly elegant tone and certain sense of pause and breath to it. But I like being able to play characters that is just like, you throw your all into it. So I think definitely if I got the chance to play a character for like a big fantasy game, I probably really enjoy it. Thank you so much for your question, Garrett. And Tobias, another question. What was the inspiration for Scarlet? What powers does the Countess possess? If you want to keep it vague, unsaid, that is fair. Scarlet was just kind of... I feel like I need to expand on her more. There's some things I'm not super happy with in the Castle of Blue Roses, and I think one of the things that I wasn't too happy with in retrospect was the fact that I played so many characters. Like, if I had to redo it, I would probably cast Scarlet with a different voice actor. But I mostly took inspiration from, like, I wanted to do something different from the pop culture convention of, like, the alpha and beta wolves that's, like, not scientifically factual, actually, but it's more, like, become so entrenched in popular culture that that's how werewolf packs are typically depicted. So I liked the idea of, like, a moon matriarch instead, which seemed to fit her quite well, as this kind of, like, primal powerhouse that was kind of, like, leashed against her will and was just chomping at the bit to escape. She might be one of the reasons that I re-explore the setting of the Castle of Blue Roses, because I might want to do more with some of the supporting characters. Like, I think the Countess's story is mostly wrapped up for now, so she may not make an appearance, but I would entertain the idea of dipping my toe back into it for maybe a one-shot, like, later down the line. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, not any particular sources of inspiration for Scarlet. I just wanted, like, cool, badass, rough around the edges, like, werewolf warrior leader. And what powers does the Countess possess? She possesses a number of vampiric powers. She can turn into bats. She can... I think it's established she can fly and, like, just kind of the baseline for vampire powers. Like, turn into mist, bats. She can fly, advanced strength, and especially dexterity. Super strong fangs and all that good stuff. She doesn't have, as far as I'm willing to say at this point, she doesn't particularly have any powers outside of, like, the baseline vampire skill set. Her powers mostly lie in manipulation and having a certain way with her words. And a certain elegant pull that she has over others. She has more the power of persuasion, if that makes sense. She has a very good way of getting what she wants. But thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it. I love that people are just so invested in the world that I created, because honestly, the Castle of Blue Roses, I was only expecting maybe like 3 chapters or something like that, and it just kept building and building into a full series. So it always means so much to me whenever people leave comments like, oh, I found you through this and this. Like, thank you so much. As a writer, it means so goddamn much to me. If you were to play any character from A Song of Ice and Fire, should they appear on screen, who would it be? Dragon King 4499. Ooh, I've only read maybe the first 2 books. I'm curious. Just trying to think of characters that haven't appeared in the series. Not including characters that were there but they didn't show up again. I would hypothetically, God, I don't know. I can't remember her name, but maybe a younger version of Cersei and Jaime and Cersei and Jaime's mother and Tyrion's mother. Like when she was a young woman in a flashback or something like that. I think I could play her. Yeah, because I'm thinking like, no, I'm more akin to like the House of Tyrell, but I'm like, no, I can't think of any particular characters other than like Marjorie's brothers who haven't appeared in the series. I think I would maybe play like a younger version of my apologies, I can't remember her name, but the former Lady Lannister, Joanna Lannister. Thank you so much. Yes, I would probably play a younger version of Joanna Lannister. I think I embody that Lannister energy quite well, wouldn't you say? Well, thank you so much, Tobias. I really appreciate that. Like, because I don't want to explain all the details, because that's what a novel's for, or any kind of story is for, is laying out in detail the scene that you're setting, from like the smell to the texture to the sights and the sounds. But with ASMR, there's so much sound work that already fills in the blanks for you. So a lot of the time you don't have to visually describe it. Like, Seraphina's dungeon was entirely soundscape. Like, the only things I think I described was the fact that the listener was restrained and that she was, like, beside them. I didn't really go into any other further details, I believe, as far as I know. All the rest of it was soundscape, which is a lot of editing and it takes a lot of work. And I kind of pat myself on the back when it comes to the current series, The Disappearance of Dr. Sharp, because I have done some sneaky things with the sound editing that I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I look forward to doing a Q&A once that series is wrapped up and maybe talking about that a little bit more. So yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Tobias. Like, aristocratic characters, I find that my general manner of speech, it does have that kind of sense of regalness and aristocratic edge to it. So I find it is quite well suited for more aristocratic characters or characters with an elevated state of status. So, hence, like the Countess, she's a Countess. Dr. Sharp, she's a well-trained, educated woman in Victorian England. Just characters that I'm able to adapt my natural speaking voice to a lot better. I find interesting to write for and interesting to play, but I always am up for a challenge. Like, give me something completely different, unless it's an accent that I know I can't do well. But I will try my best. Like, I'm trying to work on my accents more so I can do more versatile roles. But yeah, I find I have a knack for playing regal, majestic characters with a certain sense of soft eloquence to the way that they speak and a certain sense of command they have over others. I agree, Tobias. if I had to play a character, it would probably end up being Elysian. My French accent does require a little bit of work, but I am already quite happy with the way it's sounding. But I agree. I should play a character with perhaps an accent like that. I don't know. It needs work. It needs work. And we are getting up to the final few minutes of the Q&A session. Are there any last questions you wish to ask me this evening before we wrap things up? Honestly, I've had a wonderful time with you guys. Thank you all so much for joining me. This has been great. And, yep, my first time running a giveaway and it didn't go to hell. I'm glad I got the background music going as well. I'm really excited for Dragon Age, the next game. They left it on such a cliffhanger. A part of me thinks it's a little bit bullshit that they left like the true ending for a DLC. Like that's no, come on, man. But I'm excited to see it. Thanks so much, Dragon King. I'm so glad that you enjoy my voice. I think I'm utilizing it quite well, I would like to think, but I'm really glad that you enjoy listening to it. Thank you. And Tobias, thank you so much. Like, honestly, thank you all so much for your amazing questions. Like, I love being able to connect with my fans this way and having a bit more of a one-on-one connection. It really means a lot to me, so thank you. Yeah, I agree. In the wake of Trespass, the main game antagonist is nothing like fucking soulless. Like, I will let that angry egg break my heart a million times. Tonight's been fun. I agree, mac and cheese. I'm super excited. I really hope they don't screw it up. But especially if we're going to Tevinter, yeah, I'm really excited to see what's in store. And as we're getting into the last few minutes of tonight's Q&A stream, I think we're going to be wrapping it up there. So thank you all so much, so much for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers. It's been a long time coming, and I'm just so thankful to have such amazing fans who want to see what I bring to them and always up for the weird experimental ASMR stuff that I try out once in a while. But yeah, I'm just so thankful, seriously, so much for each and every one of you, for my incredibly generous patrons, my incredibly generous Twitch subs, for every single person who has donated, sent bit drops, just every little bit of it means so much to me. So Dragon King, I would answer that if I knew what a Primarch was. I'm sorry. Is this in reference to the Dark Elder? Because Dark Elder King was always Ezra Belvecht. Absolute. Yes, badass. Apologies if it's a Warhammer question. I'm still unfamiliar with some of the terminology. I'm really sorry. But yes. Oh my god, and of course, like in the last few minutes, I fuck everything up. Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My 1,000 apologies. I'm so new to Warhammer. I apologize. But thank you all so much for forgiving my mistakes and being with me throughout all this chaos. I'm so excited to see where the future takes us. And yeah, I loved answering your questions. There were some amazing ones tonight. Thank you so much for entering the giveaway. I plan on doing many more in the future when I hit these milestones and I'm able to give back to a community that's done so much for me. And yeah, thank you all so much. It is yet to be decided as to what I will be starting to stream next week, but we will be picking up a new game. But to stay updated, be sure to follow me on Twitter at StephSwanQuills, capital SSQ, and follow me on my official Facebook page as well. And so be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube if you haven't already to stay updated for when I do new videos. My next narration/video should be out tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. GMT +1. And I cannot wait to see you all again. And be sure, if you enjoy horror, if you enjoy interesting stories, if you enjoy being a part of those interesting stories, then do check out my ASMR tales, my current ongoing series, The Disappearance of Dr. Sharp, a Lovecraftian horror, terrifying ASMR tale that I'm currently writing, and my finished series, The Castle of Blue Roses, which is a incredible vampire journey. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight, and yeah, I cannot wait to see what the future holds for all of us. Thank you so much once again for helping me get to 10,000 subscribers. Here's to many more in the future. Here's to more streams, more love, more stories. Thank you all so much. And remember, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to each other. And as always, stay wicked and wonderful. Good night, guys. Mwah.